What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is going to be Making the Cut season 1 episode 2. So it looks like they're going to be dropping an episode every Friday. Is that what it looks like? I don't know if it's going to be one episode or two, but this week we got 2 episodes. So this is the second one, and we this challenge, they're calling them assignments on the show, but it's the same thing. The challenge, the assignment, or what have you, is that they're again creating two looks. They're still in Paris. I don't know if they stay in Paris the whole season or what, but they're still in Paris. And this one is it's couture, and they get into the whole history of what couture is. Of course, his couture is, we're talking, it's a very respected tradition. It's old, it goes back centuries, and they are challenged to make a couture look and then make a more show look, like the way Heidi said it was a showstopper, and then a social interpretation of that showstopper. So they should look like they come from the same family, not identical, but definitely come from the same family. And not only do they get the same, they their look gets sold in the Amazon Prime store, the Amazon store, but they also going to get a feature in CR fashion book, and the editor is the judge, the one that I told you guys they said was like Anna Wintour. Let me go back. Corinne Rutherford, and so um like last episode, you have certain designers that they're featuring. You know that those are going to be the designers that are, are going to, kind of have a story. The one story we find is Sabato, the one I told you guys. He's from Italy. He's an older gentleman. We hear a little bit of his story. He lost his mom like 3 weeks before the competition started, and so he said for this particular look, he was going to dedicate it to his mom. He was going to do a little bit more sewing for this challenge, and what he wanted to create. His mom had to elope. Her family did not approve of his father, and so they ran off, got married. So he said, my mom never had a wedding dress. So his interpretation was that he was going to make a wedding dress that fit her style, but something she would have worn. And so what it looked like, the finished product was really pretty, very light, very pretty, but it almost had like a 1920s spin on it. I'm not saying his mama was from the 1920s, but that's what it looked like to me. It looked almost flapper girl-ish to me, and it was beautiful, but we'll get to that in a second. Esther, and the fashion show is going to be at the Louvre. She went to the Louvre to take some pictures and to see what it was. And so she saw a couple out there taking their wedding pictures. And then one of the other designers, who's very punk, I forget his name, but anyway, he kind of walked into one of her pictures. And so that's where she got her inspiration from, was to have that soft wedding type thing, but with a little bit of hint of rock on it. And she decided to do something she doesn't normally do, which was she was working with sequin. So she was like, I'm coming out of my comfort zone to kind of work with sequin, that kind of thing. We got to know a little bit more about Johnny, who does a lot of leather, a lot of punk. He's like I said, all of these designers have their own line. They've all achieved that. They all have their own fashion line. Now, how popular it is varies, obviously. So Johnny has his own fashion line, and he even said that he's had, people from Nicki Minaj to, they had pictures of some other celebrities, and he does a lot of leather work. Like, his thing is leather, very punk, very hard, and his background is from the circus. He traveled with the circus, and he said that's how he learned how to sew. He didn't go to school. He's not traditional. He's self-taught, but he has his own line, and it seems like it's very popular as well. We saw a little bit more of it was another designer we learned a little bit more about this week. All right. Martha is still struggling. Okay, Martha, she done went to the fabric store 2 or 3 times. She What I'm noticing is when Tim is doing a critique, this show is a lot more independent. They can come and go as they please. You know, they can go back and forth. Like, you know, Martha left 2 or 3 times to go to the fabric store. They're not like locked in, you know, like they were at Parsons or what have you. When you're here, you can't leave. You go to Mood one time and that's it. If you forgot something, you can't go back. And so it's a lot more. They said they're free to go about and travel the city at will. So it's a lot more uh, free than the Project Runway style is. Um, a group of designers went to the Yves Saint Laurent museum, which I done been to Paris. I didn't even know there was an Yves Saint Laurent museum. I probably wouldn't have went if I'd known, but it looked, you know, again, it was inspiration for them. What else? So that was pretty much how things sort of went down before we get into it. Now, Martha, like I said, had a total breakdown. Oh, that's what I was going to say. I'm noticing that Tim, with his critiques, he's being a lot less, he's giving a lot less feedback. Unless there's something that he really, really feels like needs to be addressed or needs to be dealt with. But he's not really critiquing their looks with the idea of he's guiding them. It's more or less, I'm hearing what you're saying. If you're totally off, then I'm going to let you know you're totally off. But there were a few times where I feel like he wanted to say something and you could see him physically stopping himself, like, you know how Tim does his. But he didn't say anything. He kept a lot of stuff to himself. So I feel like they're really trying to let the designers be a lot more independent and do their own thing. Okay. So with that being said, we're getting ready for our fashion show. And it was a beautiful fashion show. It was this open area. And after the models walked down, they kind of lined up along the side, but it was almost like they were staged in different scenes. Like one, they were like sort of sitting on a bed, and then they were sitting at tables. The judges were sitting at tables. It was very non-traditional, but still very formal, if that makes any sense at all, what I just said. So with that being said, let's get into the runway. So Esther had and I feel like some of the designers weren't really featured. Did y'all feel like that? That a couple of designers, I feel like they skipped over them, or they didn't show every look, or they showed them really quickly. But anyway, Esther had a black sequin, the dress. Her couture look was like a black sequin dress, and then the everyday look was a black top that had the peplum, and they call it the peplum, at the waist, and then they had like black pants, almost looked like leggings. I liked it. It wasn't my favorite, but I liked it. Martha, her everyday look was this white off the shoulder, almost like a goddess type dress, very flowy, white with black ribbon on it. And then her couture dress, which I thought was gorgeous, which is the look that was my look of the week. That's the picture you're going to see at the end of the video. I thought it was gorgeous. And it had like this spider web design on the front. It had a cutout in the side. Now the problem was the judges loved it too until they got up close. I really think she had a good chance of winning this week. But when they went to look at the garments up close, they said it was not as impressive up close. So I'm not sure what Martha did or did not do. Okay. Jaywan, she had a white sporty dress, and then she had a fringe coat. I'm gonna be honest with you, they were alright for me. They didn't really do a whole lot for me, but the judges loved her looks. Will, I'm gonna question your taste, sir. Your dress was too short, and Tim told you it was too short, and you made it longer, and it was still too damn short. And I just have to question your taste a little bit. Then there was this blue dress, which was a lot better, was beautiful. Both the dresses were blue, but the second dress was really, really beautiful. And I'm sorry, let me rewind. Will isn't the one with the dress that was too short. His dress was too tight, and the model could barely walk. And Naomi was like, a split? Like, all you had to do was add a split? You'd have been all right. So I'm sorry, that wasn't Will. Sabato, I already told you guys that Now his dresses to me look very similar. It was almost like he made two of the same dress, but they were nice. I really liked his look. Again, it wasn't my top look, but I thought it was beautiful. Renault, her first look was a red dress, and then her second look was I mean, it was like a suit, but like a short suit thingy, and they didn't look like they were together. Like they didn't look like they came from the same group. Troy, his outfit was very well made, but the couture wasn't so couture. I'm gonna say this: and this is what I love about having Naomi Campbell on the show, because Naomi Campbell has a reverence for designers. She has a respect. She has a reverence, and because she has worn so many designers and she is so immersed in the culture of fashion, she has such a reverence for what couture is, and she was very offended at any of the designers who she felt like were not providing, they weren't showing the correct respect level for what couture is. And I think that's something we need, that perspective. And y'all know that Naomi Campbell, y'all know she don't hold her tongue now. Y'all know whatever she thinking she gonna say, and whatever she saying she gonna think. Johnny's outfit was, he had the leather pants, he had the smock, uh the top part, I'm sorry, his top part looked like a smock. He said it was supposed to be like a kimono. It just looked like a smock to me. And that's what Naomi Campbell said. She said that looked like something I go to get my hair done in. And I was thinking, she ain't lying. And then his second outfit was a flowy leather jacket. I mean, it was a leather jacket with this flowy dress thing. And I guess that was supposed to be his couture. But Naomi Campbell let him know that that's, no ma'am. No sir. Martha, she had, now I liked her first dress. It was a pink fringe. But once the judges got up close and they actually examined it, what they found was that all she did was pin it. Like, she didn't sew it at all. Now, I'm gonna get back to Miss Martha, because Martha had I guess I'll say it. Martha had a total breakdown. She had a total breakdown. She was ready to leave. She was ready to quit the competition, because she looked around the room and she realized she was out of her league. I'm not saying it to be funny. She didn't know how to cut. She didn't know how to sew. She knew what looked good, and I guess she knew how to draw it. But even when they showed her drawings, they looked very basic too. Um, so I feel like she needs to go to school and really hone her. She clearly has a skill. I mean, she's had, shows on at Fashion Week, but I think she needs to be a little more knowledgeable of the day-to-day of making a garment. But she was totally out of her league. She looked around the room and she realized it, and she was behind everybody else, and she just couldn't get it done. Even with the help of the seamstresses and all of that, she just couldn't make it work. And so with all of that being said, she basically ran out of time, and her second garment was just all pinned. I mean, there was not a stitch in it. It was safety pinned and draped and everything else. And once the judges got up close and personal, they were like, no ma'am. Now, her second look, her couture look, the judges sort of liked it, but I just think they were so taken aback by where her skill level was, that I just don't think she could have been saved. When they saw that second dress and realized that it wasn't even sewn at all, like safety pins. I mean, it was a mess, and she knew it was a mess. Sander, his first dress, it was a nice dress, and it had like these sprouts on it, and the judges were torn. Naomi was not feeling it. Nicole kind of liked it. And then his couture look was very it was very dramatic, and it was almost, they kept calling it the donut dress, because it had these circles on it, and they really did like him. So when they got down to the judging, what it looks like they're doing is they're calling different designers down. Of course, they're calling the top designer and they're calling the bottom designer, but I think the other people they're calling sort of at random. Martha was out. I'm not even going to prolong that. I mean, it was no way that Martha could have survived. It's a sewing competition, and you did not sew. So I don't think there was any way that Martha could have been saved in that situation. But I do think even in the short time she was there, I think she learned something and was able to take something away from it. Johnny, they brought him down and they critiqued him. Like, and Naomi let him know, like, look, I'm not feeling it. This isn't couture. You're not showing the correct level of reverence. Like, she gave it to him. But here's the thing that I appreciate, and this was something that, if y'all looked at my Project Runway reviews, y'all know how I felt. I feel like these designers are giving the level of reverence and respect that they should be given to these judges. Johnny said, look, I just got reamed out by Naomi Campbell. I'll take it. Whatever criticism she's giving me, I'll take it because she's Naomi Campbell. And I feel like that's something that was missing in the last couple of seasons of Project Runway since they've gone to this new format where they're choosing designers that have a little bit of success. It's gone to their heads. Like they think they've reached the mountaintop and can't nobody tell them nothing. But these designers, I mean, even last week's episode, even the first episode, these people were literally crying when their garments were going down and they were realizing just the enormity of what they were experiencing and what the opportunity that was presenting itself to them. They were crying. And so I just think there's a great level of reverence for that. Now, again, I didn't agree with the judges. Esther won, second week in a row, so y'all know it's about to be a target on her back. Y'all know how this goes in these competitions. And I feel like Ja Win, I feel like she was the runner-up again. So again, for the first two episodes, it was the same tops. And so again, that's gonna put a target on their back, good, bad, or indifferent. Anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in those comments. Peace.